What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here, and in today's video we're going to do something a little differently. It's time for another Rayweather rant. I know some of you like those. I haven't done one in a while, but this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a long time, probably since the end of Madden 17. I think it's actually a really good topic, and like I said, I've wanted to make this video for a while because it really is a good topic. I think it's a fair argument, but I want to definitely speak on it. So the theme of today's video is, did YouTube ruin Madden? That's a comment that I see a ton, not only on my videos, even before I was on YouTube. I saw it on tons of other people's videos. YouTube ruined Madden, and I think people tend to mean like gameplay-wise, as far as people running the same plays and stuff like that. I think some people, when they say it, they mean MUT too, because the big MUT YouTubers made MUT, I guess, more popular, which in turn, I guess they look at that as EA focuses more on MUT because the YouTubers made it more popular and more people play it. But I think more people, when they say YouTube ruined Madden, they tend to mean gameplay-wise. So that's mainly what this video is going to be about. I think it's a great topic and something I've been wanting, like I said, want to talk about for a while. So let's get into it. So I will say this: I've been around this community for a long time, back into like PS2 days. It was actually worse back then. Because when people had the hottest nano blitz or something like that back then, you were automatically going to be pretty good or pretty hard to beat online if you had like the best nano blitz back then. You know, nowadays things like blitzes, they're easier to block, but back then we didn't have the tools and the features to help us block them nearly as easy. So if you had a nano blitz, if it was widespread back then, it was a serious problem, and the game didn't get patched back then like it does now. But I mean, Let's talk about that, because that's where it began. The tips and the ebooks, that began on the forums, well over a decade ago, well before YouTube was even a thing yet. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are YouTubers who do expose game-breaking glitches from time to time, of course. I would never endorse that, but at least those things tend to get patched pretty quickly by EA. Things like disconnect glitches and such, they tend to jump on that pretty quickly, so it's not that big of an issue. But aside from that, let's really start here. So there's really two types of Madden YouTubers, in my opinion. It all kind of boils down into two groups. You have the first group, who are the entertainers, the guys who do mostly gameplay, pack openings, challenges, franchise. Guys like Toke and iMaverick would fall under this umbrella. I don't see anything wrong with those guys. I don't see how those guys could be ruining the game. They're literally just playing the game and having fun. If they don't entertain you, of course, don't watch, but they certainly aren't ruining anything. So let's go to the second type of Madden YouTuber, the next umbrella, which is what I am. I provide tips, strategies, how-tos, things like that. Other people that would fall into this category are guys like Zan from Forward Progress Madden, or FSM Holden, who's a little bit newer onto the scene, Madden Daily, guys like that. Now, this is the group I think most people refer to when they say YouTubers ruin Madden. And I understand why that's the narrative, but I want to discuss why I think it's a bad one. And I know I'm not going to convince anybody who believes this to change their way of thinking. That's really not what the video is about. I just want to give my take on it, not only for me, but for other Madden tip YouTubers. So the narrative that I often hear is, even before I was personally on YouTube, I would see it in other comment sections. The narrative is that people like us ruin Madden. We're the reason that people online only run 2 or 3 plays a game, or spam the same run, or spam the same blitz, yada yada. And this just isn't true. I see why people would think it's true, but I've been around this community for, like I said, well over a decade. People always ran what was hot online. People always ran the same stuff online. They used to get it from the forum sites back then. Ebooks and tip sites have been around since PS2 days, well before YouTube was even a thing or a big thing. And instead of people just posting their own, free material on YouTube, they would post it in the forums for free. I used to do that back in the day. Instead of making YouTube videos, I would post mini schemes on the forums. And a lot of people did that back then. It was the same type of thing as today. It was just kind of a different hub for receiving the information. So none of that has actually changed, contrary to popular belief. So that's the first point. Online play was always the same. I can go back every year and tell you exactly what people were running. And this was before YouTube was a big deal. Like, YouTube came out, I believe, in 06, but it really wasn't, YouTube wasn't even big until, really, really big up until, 2011, 2012, 2013 is really when it started to huge, like, really blow up. And Madden YouTube, again, wasn't really a big thing until, like, Madden 12, Madden 13-ish. It wasn't really a big thing, or even starting out yet. Madden 08, literally everybody ran 2 playbooks. That was it. You either ran Atlanta or you ran run and gun. If you ran Atlanta, you used shotgun trio and you used cross punch the majority of the game. If you used run and gun, you ran shotgun tight and you ran full house. And then aside from that, people would just put a lot of their players on streaks and just attempt to user catch all games. Spectacular catch, rocket catch, jetpack. That was the majority of Madden 18, and it was very hard to stop. On defense, everybody ran sting pinch zone, which was AKA problems defense, or they ran dime strike too deep. In Madden 09, literally everybody rocket caught the ball, specifically curl routes. They were a pain to stop. People would literally put 4 curl routes on the field, mix in a flanker screen, and that was it. And then outside of that, that was the year that halfback toss and fullback dive was really dominant. That combo was really hard to stop that year. People would literally play cat and mouse between halfback toss and fullback dive up the field all game long, and then rocket catch a curl if it was a situation where they needed, more than a few yards. It was way more boring than any meta we see today. It was literally unbearable. And again, this was before Madden YouTube was a thing. Madden YouTube wasn't a thing at all at this point. Madden 10, everybody ran off tackle. Literally, that was the game plan. That and throw flat routes. Literally 90% of passes that year were flat routes because flat zones wouldn't defend the flats that year. They would get sucked in and glitched out. Off tackle and flat routes every play. Again, way more boring than any type of meta we have today. And this was, again, also before Madden YouTube was a thing. So the narrative that YouTube ruined Madden, in my opinion, just off that alone is already debunked. And anybody who was around and played online back then could attest to that. But I'm not going to just stop there. I'm going to get a little deeper into this. So now let's talk about who sets the meta, because it certainly isn't YouTubers. YouTubers are often considered not that good at the game in comparison to competitive players. So why would we set the meta? Like, really think about that. If you were going to put the blame on anybody, it would, be the true elite tournament players, right? I mean, they're the ones who come up with most of this stuff. Now, personally, I don't blame them at all because they're playing for money. Some of them play competitively for a living. So, I mean, it's literally their job to find the most effective tactics. There's money on the line. I mean, nowadays the tournaments are broadcasted live on Twitch. You can see what they're doing. The meta becomes the meta because they're running it, not because YouTubers are giving out tips. Now, some might say, well, YouTubers repost the stuff and they help it go more widespread. Now, that's a fair argument, sure. I can agree with that. But so do the tip sites. They still exist and they still post all the same stuff too. And that's where a lot of people still get their info. Competitive players, a lot of them stream themselves nowadays, so they run the same things on their personal streams. They give away these things in their sub tips to their subscribers. The information's all over the place. It's going to be obtained by those who want it one way or another. It always has been, it always will be. So, I mean, sometimes I think people that complain about this don't play other games online, because literally any online game has its over-effective tactics that people use. Online play is competitive. It's not some carefree, relaxing environment. Online play is stressful. Everybody is playing to win. Most people that play online take it very seriously. Why would you expect people to run plays or use tactics that aren't the best, or use stuff that they aren't comfortable with? It just doesn't make sense. They're trying to win. And this is where the term cheese comes into play. I always hear this, oh, this is cheesy, that's cheesy, people have to use cheese to win. But, I mean, I hate to break it to you, there's no such thing as cheese. And really, it's because there's no boundary for what cheese is. Everything is considered cheese to somebody. I've seen people say a slant route's cheese. I've seen people say just running a stock defense is cheese. I've seen people say, running a toss play. Like any little thing there's a football play is cheese to somebody. Like, there's no definition for it. If it's, oh, I'm having trouble stopping it, it's cheese. Like, that's really what it is. If you call something cheese, it's because you, for whatever reason, you aren't good enough to overcome what that specific thing is, and that's okay. Like, we're not going to all be great at everything, but just because someone else is better at something, that doesn't really make it cheese. It just means they're better. That's really all it means. When it comes to sports games in particular, though, I think that's where the cheese cop-out is so much more usable, because people try to relate the real-life sport to real life, or the real-life sport to the game. And, oh, well, this wouldn't work in real life. But, in fact, it would work in real life if the other team wasn't capable of stopping it. That's really what's not understood. I've seen teams literally run the same play into the ground on occasion when the opposing team couldn't stop it. It's just that it doesn't happen as often in real life, because in real life, teams are usually better at adjusting to stop it. They game plan. That's their livelihood is to know how to stop it. But there's a lot of times in Madden where people simply don't adjust, or they don't adjust properly, but it's never their fault. It's always the other guy must be cheating or cheesing, and that's silly. Everything has a counter, but it's up to you to know the counter. It's not your opponent's fault that he takes the game more serious than you. Not everybody has the time to take the game that serious, and that's fine, but it's not the other guy's fault that he does and you don't. I think that's another thing people miss. People think they're entitled to just hop online into a competitive environment and be able to have a carefree game, but online gaming doesn't work that way. It's competitive. People take it more serious than you, and you have to kind of get over that. They're not there to spare your feelings. They're there, if they take it seriously, they want to win, and that's really all that matters. That's what online gaming is, and if that's something you're not okay with, then you probably shouldn't play online. I mean, while we're on that topic, yes, some plays are definitely better than others, some tactics are better than others, but why is it considered frowned upon to use them? Do you really think teams in real life don't have bread and butter plays? Do you think teams don't have certain concepts that they, don't run over and over? I think that's a big misconception. People think teams are literally running like 50 unique plays a game, and it's not even close to that. They might run the same concept out of 5 different looks, but it's essentially the same play, just with their players maybe lined up slightly differently, like a tight end is split out instead of on the line, but they're still running the same concept. The goal is still trying to get the same route open. The Eagles ran this mesh concept to their tight end last year. It was a staple of their offense. It worked beautifully. Teams had trouble stopping it. They ran it a lot. If you actually studied game film and watched it, or watched people that break down game film, you will have seen this. But if you just watch it in real time, you don't catch that they're running the same concept over and over, but they really were. Peyton Manning ran the same handful of plays most of his career. The pick route on the sideline, the motion slant, which was the same slant that Tracy Porter picked 6 in the Super Bowl. Like, how do you think he knew how to jump that route? He was so sure that it was coming because the Colts ran that play so much. The announcer, in fact, even said when he picked 6 that the Colts just ran their favorite play, and Tracy Porter saw it coming. It was the term, it was their favorite play, clearly means they ran the play a lot. Teams do this in real life. So why in Madden is it a bad thing? Is the goal to run what you think gives you the best chance of success, right? Provided it's not an actual glitch, isn't the goal to run what you think is going to work? Just because a play is very good, that doesn't mean it's wrong to run it or run it often. Are you telling me that you go into a game and say, I'm going to purposely run a play that I know isn't that good just for like some moral victory? I don't understand that logic. Literally everybody who plays Madden has their go-to plays. What makes your go-to plays okay, but the other person's go-to plays cheesy? Is it because maybe he runs his a little more than you run yours? Again, if that's what that person feels is the best chance at success, that's the goal of play calling. Run what you think is going to work. Nobody purposely runs a lesser play just for the sake of it. The only time you run a lesser play is when you're trying to catch your opponent completely off guard. You think this is so unpredictable here that they, won't see it coming. And then that's where the play calling and the cat and mouse game comes into play. You want to know why Belichick is a lot better than other coaches? Because he doesn't really outthink himself too often. You rarely see him do this. He will run the obvious play if he's pretty sure the other team can't stop it. Whereas a lot of other coaches will try to get too cute because they don't want to be obvious, but a lot of times the obvious call is the right call because you're just flat out a better team, or you can execute better than them, so the obvious call is still the right call for you. I mean, now that I got all that out the way, I think I just like to speak on my channel specifically, because people often tell me that my channel ruined Madden, or channels like mine ruined Madden. They say I'm the reason people run 2 or 3 plays. Okay, first of all, no, I'm not. You're the reason people run 2 or 3 plays, because they're having success when they run it. That's why they keep running it. Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're not, but that's just what they're comfortable running. I've played someone that literally ran the same play all game, and he's down 21-0, still running the same play. But you know what? He was comfortable with that play. Maybe that's the only play that he was good running. Maybe that play won him a ton of other games, so he's just going to keep running the play that he's comfortable with. So be it. Why shouldn't somebody run what they're comfortable running? Like, are you going to tell me there was never a game you played where you spammed a certain thing because it was all you were really good with or comfortable with? And if you say no to that, you're lying. Like, just let's call it what it is. But this is what I often get confused at this comment. You're the reason people run the same few plays. Like, so I would say how so? Because for Madden 18 alone, I've posted over 300 unique videos, at least. A lot of my videos are simple how-tos, for example, like how to beat cover 2 defense, how to beat cover 3 defense. And in videos like that, I'm just talking concepts. I'm not even showing specific plays. I'm more so talking about the concepts that beat these coverages, both in real life and in Madden. I've got how-tos on stuff like motioning wide receivers and audibling and changing personnel. Those are things that used to be found in the booklet that came with the game. Hardly anything wrong with teaching basics to newcomers, right? I would hope not. Then, of course, sometimes I have like MUT-related videos on MUT content, or little gameplay videos, or sometimes I'll even have videos talking about things that I think are wrong with Madden and needs to be fixed, and those seem to be fine. Anytime you speak negatively on Madden, people love that. those always seem fine. So if you think any of those videos are ruining Madden, then I think you're kind of just a lost cause. There's really no reason to debate with you. But let's talk about the last group of videos I do where I'm actually teaching strategy. That seems to be where most people get mad, when I show good pass plays or good blitzes or good coverage defenses, whatever have you. Those seem to be the problem. I often see comments like, you're teaching people how to cheat the game, or you suck if you run this, or, you know, I've literally seen people say that on something as simple as just showing people why cover 4 is good at stopping the run. And the reason it's good at stopping the run in Madden is the same reason it's good at stopping the run in real life. The same principles why it's good in real life, it applies to Madden too. The people that design the game get a lot of, there's still some zone principles they have to get right, but some of them are correct, and cover 4 is one of them. That's why a lot of teams run cover 4, you know, more so as a base defense in real life than they have in the past, because it is good at stopping the run, because the safeties can play more aggressively. But I'll see people say, oh, this is why, you know, the game sucks, even though it's actually realistic, which is kind of funny. Again, I think that kind of comes back to people not truly understanding football. So when they don't understand it, they think it's cheesing. Because I'll also see comments along the lines of, stop teaching bums how to get better at Madden, let them find out on their own, or stop helping people, you know, let them figure this stuff out by themselves. This is why Madden sucks with YouTube, because back in the day, people had to figure out their own stuff. No, they didn't. I already touched on that earlier in this video. People always found out the stuff that was good. They just did it differently because times are different. But I think there lies the problem, because one of the biggest problems I see is people, and this is just in any walk of life, not even just Madden, people usually don't want other people to have the knowledge. I see this all the time. People want to keep everything for themselves. They don't want a level playing field. People want to be better than others without putting in the work that others do. People want to hop online, win more games, but they're not really committed to putting or learning, you know, putting the time in or learning the game from top to bottom, like people that watch my channel or watch other channels. And the hypocrisy of that is people will say you're a bum if you have to learn Madden on YouTube, or, you know, stop teaching people how to get better. But literally everybody in life has YouTubed or Googled how to do something, how to learn something, you know, and those are the comments I unfortunately see the most. And it's not so much that you ruin the game comments, it's more stop teaching people comments. And that's what confirms to me that I'm doing something right, because if your biggest problem is people learning something, then, like, seriously, kick rocks. Like, you're a lost cause in life. You know, you're the problem if you think that. And the next time you inevitably have to YouTube or Google something, learn how to do something, remember those comments, because you're a hypocrite. You know, so for those of you that like Madden YouTubers, or don't like Madden YouTubers, or don't like the state of online play, I would just suggest staying away from both. That seems like the logical thing to do. But I assure you this, none of these things are going to change. Online gaming will stay the way it's always been. It's going to be competitive and cutthroat. YouTube creators are going to keep creating for their community. People will continue to get better at things. You know, if you're this butthurt over people improving their Madden skills, I'd really hate to see how you get over real life issues that actually matter, because Madden really isn't that important in the grand scheme of things, but y'all seem to get pretty worked up over it. But that's all I have for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed your Rayweather rant. For those of you that didn't, thanks for watching anyway. We're on to 100K. Stay blessed, and as always, I will see you guys next time.